Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking with a lawyer about some precious metal scams. It seems that everybody is trying to get one over on everybody else. This is everywhere. Bitcoin miners, precious metals miners, and even in precious metals with people buying coins and being coerced into buying these coins. And I'm sick of it. And my new friend Bruce, the lawyer, is sick of it as well. I'm going to introduce him right now, but thank you for being here and thank you for coming on with me, Stacey.
Yeah, well, I get these calls a lot from you guys saying that you guys have been scammed with various IRAs. So actually a subscriber referred me to you, Mr. Bruce, and I reached out to you, and thank you so much for coming on. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. Good morning. My name is Bruce Steckler. I'm a lawyer based out of Dallas, Texas. Been practicing for about 30 years, and I handle coin fraud lawsuits throughout the United States. While I'm licensed in 5 states and based in Texas, generally I practice throughout the United States in various courts and have been handling these cases for probably the past 15 years. And unfortunately, it's an area of the law that is not getting smaller, but actually becoming larger. We're seeing lots of victims of coin fraud, whether it's buying coins that are collectible coins or what we call coin or gold IRAs. Those are the largest scams I'm seeing. And generally the victims are elderly folks, people who are looking for ways to protect their wealth and end up getting scammed.
Legitimately looking for a hedge against inflation and uncertainty. And there's somebody on the other side that has usually the same verbiage. I would like to get into some of the red flags that you've seen and some of the things that happen over and over.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, there's nothing more distressing than seeing someone who spent their whole life building up wealth to have it in their retirement, or God forbid, something happens to them or a family member and they need the money, and they've taken their hard-earned money and reduced it by like a third. I mean, it's tragic. And it's these vendors that are taking advantage of people at their most vulnerable moment. Let me talk to you a little bit about those red flags that you mentioned with respect to precious metal IRAs, or gold IRAs as they're often called. First of all, I'm just not a fan of them generally. And I'll tell you why. Because the purpose of the IRA is you're making contributions of money in your earnings so it can grow over a tax-deferred period of time. And then later on, you're going to withdraw them for your retirement. And the benefit is that when you're retired, you're obviously or generally in a lower tax bracket, so that when you take the money out, you pay a lower rate. But if you're elderly, you're generally almost retired, why would you even need to put your money into a gold IRA? You might as well just buy gold itself. I mean, that's just one way that you can avoid the IRA. And I'll tell you why the IRAs concern me, okay, and why they have issues. I mean, I don't want to be too broad. There are some that may be very good. Obviously, the only ones I see are obviously when people have problems, because that's why they call a lawyer. If they're happy, they don't call a lawyer. So I can only tell you what I've seen and what I've experienced. But first of all, you often are overpaying for what they call these government issued gold coins or precious metals that are part of IRAs. So IRAs that have precious metals have to be a government issued coin. Okay. But you're not paying the spot price of gold. Typically, you're paying an upcharged price. So you're paying more. And that's the first red flag, is what's the spot price and what are you paying and why are you paying that much more? Is it the commission of the seller, or is it a significant upcharge? Because this is in essence an investment vehicle. And so you need to be very careful in what you're purchasing. And I always think that your base should be the spot price. Then when you put it in the account and it's held in trust, they're going to reflect the spot price, not necessarily the price paid. So you automatically look like you're losing money off the bat. It's one thing if it's a small commission that you're overpaying for, but when you're looking at the spot price compared to the price you paid, and if they're significantly upcharging it, you haven't done your research, right off the bat, you look like you're at a deficit. So you have to be careful. And then they're often held in trust by trust companies. The common one is equity trust. And to transfer the gold that you're purchasing from the company to the trust company, there may be a transfer fee, or it's often the equity trust or one of the trust companies will put the gold in a depository or storage somewhere, and you may be paying monthly or yearly storage fees. And you need to find out what those are. Those could be significant and could be well in excess of the appreciation of that gold over that period of time. And of course, you are subject to the fluctuation of the spot price of gold, so you have to be cognizant of that as well. And then the next thing is, let's say you want to get your money out. It's hard to get your money out. First of all, if you're going to get it out, it's going to be taxed, because the idea of putting it in is tax deferred. So you need to anticipate that there are going to be taxes in getting it out. Secondly, the gold company is going to say, well, there's a transfer fee, or we have to try to sell the coins or get bids on the coins. And it takes a period of time. So that's also very concerning. And then finally is these IRAs are fraught with fine print. And most people look at the fine print, their heads start spinning. They don't know which way's up. They're not really negotiable. And that's, the devil's always in the details. Everybody knows that. But if you don't really look at it, first of all, you can't really sue. You can't sue the trust company generally. It's very challenging. Two, you can't necessarily sue in court the company that sold you the gold. You almost have to go to arbitration, extremely expensive. And third, there are very limiting aspects to some of these agreements as to how much you can actually sue them for. You have to read the fine print. The one good thing about this is the fact that these gold IRAs are regulated by the Commodities Future Trading Commission, and they're just recently starting to come down on these companies. And if you start doing a Google search, you'll see that the Commodities Future CFTC is investigating a lot of these companies and some of these fees and the way that they're pricing the gold in these IRAs and coming down on them. But they're not as strong in the enforcement as you would like to see. And oftentimes they've absconded with a lot of money, and they're hard to go after when they're in a situation where they're being investigated by the government. So that's why you just have to be so cautious, really get informed, read the documents. So those are the red flags. I hope that was helpful.
It was. I have one quick question, and because this is just based on my experiences. We've discussed, I sell precious metals, so I get a lot of phone calls about this. The biggest scam that I seem to hear about, and you tell me what you've seen, is companies selling these, quote, specialty coins that they make themselves, and the premium is as much as the spot. That's where I seem to have the problem when I talk to people, and I warn them against that. And what would be your advice then?
Stacey, you are spot on. That is one of the number one legal situation that I find people in that they need help with. A lot of folks want to go buy bullion. And that makes sense. It's a commodity. We can all look and see the price of bullion, whether it's gold, platinum, silver. You can go online, you can find it. It's a market, it's a commodity, we know. But when you start doing that, they'll say, well, that's good, but there are coins that you can buy as investments, investment value coins. First of all, they're not generally investments. Second, they're like collectibles or commemorative coins. Maybe they're signed, maybe they've got some fancy name. It's a Silver Eagle, limited run, whatever it may be. But remember, it may be a limited run because the company just said, I'm going to run a few, and then they can run a bunch later. I mean, you never know. The coins are a real problem because one, they're not regulated. Two, they're generally difficult as investments because there's no real market out there. The prices that you see online are often the prices that are being sold by the companies, not really a market value. So how do you know whether the price that you're paying for the coin has a small percentage commission upcharge from a seller, which is more than reasonable, or it's 3 times what it's worth, and the preciousness of it. There's really hard to verify these coins. And so, there are experts in coins that are licensed, and I'm going to probably butcher the name. It's licensed numismatist or
Numismatic.
Numismatist what is the
Numismatic.
Numismatics.
Yeah.
Numismatic. Thank you. I apologize. Can't even say it. But there are people that are licensed, and you can ask them and get a kind of a way to check mark that. But otherwise, relying on somebody who's trying to sell you a coin to tell you its value and whether it's appropriate, not the best way to do it. You want to verify it. You want to check it. And Googling stuff and just going online is not the best way to do it in the coin industry, because it's so rampant with people trying to sell it. And the other thing that really bothers me about these is what I call the scare tactics, or the fear. The concept that, the government's coming after your money, everything's going to go in hell in a handbasket. You've got to get these coins. They'll protect you. The government can't seize them and all this stuff. Hold on for a second. The government does provide some safety nets for people. Don't fall into the scare category or the scare tactics that are there. Use your good judgment. Consult with experts, whether it's a financial advisor who's certified or somebody who's an expert in coins. Make sure you're doing the right thing for you, and make sure that what you're paying for, it's fine for someone to make a commission on a coin, but you're buying a coin for an investment generally. And therefore, if you're buying it for an investment and you're paying 3 to 4 times what it's worth, or even double, you may not even see an investment in your lifetime because it's so overpriced. And so you've got to get informed. You can't just trust the seller. And these guys are good. They're down.
I was about to say the same thing. They're the best.
They are delightful. They'll be on the phone with you all day. They'll talk about your family. They'll talk about your problems. And the next thing you know, you're buying a bunch of coins from them because they're great guys and you trust them now. And you've basically taken your hard-earned savings and you bought these coins for 3 times what they're worth. In other words, reducing your wealth to about a third.
No, actually, I want to just talk about this just real briefly, because Chris and I, as we've mentioned, we sell them. We have actually been approached by other companies, and everything you've said right there, we've experienced. That's why Chris always says, get 3 quotes.
They are the best. They are some silver-tongued devils. And I'm telling you,
you are
they
right.
can sell a pallet of pork chops to the Jewish prime minister. They are very good. And when you start, because I'm always saying, hey, how much is a monster box? And they ought to be able to spit it out like that. How much is a monster box of Eagles? They never have an answer. That is number 1 red flag. If anybody's listening, if you plan to do business with this person, get Stacey's price list. It's in her email. If you want the email, all you have to do is text that number, your email, and she'll send you her price list. And you can print it out and take it with you and try to beat the price, because they're not going to tell you the price. They're going to ask you, well, we don't really sell precious metals that way. How much money do you have to spend? They flip the script on you, and then they try to sell you something that is of more value, and it's only going to go up. And then if you're, no, I just really, because I've been on the phone with these people, I just want to know the price of a monster box. That is it. Well, these aren't the same, because these are going to go way more up in value, and that you cannot get a legitimate answer out of them. Huge, huge red flag. I've been approached 3 or 4 different times to sell precious metals for these scam companies. Mm-hmm. They told me I was going to make 8%.
It was incredible.
8% of the sale.
Yeah.
And that is we get a tiny fraction of that. But it's a scam. There's a gray area.
It's your bait and switch. You go in to buy gold, and the next thing you know, you're exactly right. they start saying, we just got this in. This is just a limited deal. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And the next thing you know, you're buying something completely different than what you went in with absolutely no information, without verifying them, without taking, as the Taylor suggested, the ultimate advice, which is getting 3 quotes. Check it out. There's no rush. You need to figure it out. And if they rush you and are hard selling you, that's a red flag. If they're throwing in a bunch of free things, I always worry about that. That to me is another red flag. You're buying a commodity. It's not a free thing. There's a quantitative value to what you're getting, and you've got to be smart about it. And unfortunately, we all like to be trusting, and we all think we can trust people. Unfortunately, that's not generally the case. And this is your savings. This is the blood, the sweat, the tears that people have spent their life working for, so that when they get either older, they have a nest egg, they can do some of the things they want, or God forbid they have a health issue, and they find out that the money that they had worked so hard for is depleted or gone, or in an IRA, not readily accessible and going down. I mean, these are very scary things that can happen to your wealth, and you've got to be smart about it.
Okay, so I want to pick your brain a little bit then. Let's kind of, this is not on the list of stuff I sent you, but there are some people that legitimately want to do this. This is something that they want to invest in. What would be, well, actually, this was one of the questions I asked you. What is a good way, in your opinion, as an attorney, to vet these particular vaults in these particular companies? Because we have people call us. I don't do IRAs. I just sell the precious metals. However, I tell people all the time, vet me, ask me, get 3 other quotes. Here's my broker's license. Call and check on me. Here's my reputation. What is some of the ways that you would recommend people vetting?
Okay. First and foremost, Google is not a vetting process. Let's just start there. Okay. Reviews and Google and all that stuff, that's really nice, but anybody can put anything on there and there's no way to verify that. So let's stop with that. Okay. If you're going to buy a coin, okay, and you're buying it for the value of the precious metal, number one, look at the spot price for what you're buying, the weight you're buying at, and use that as sort of a baseline. Second opinions, third opinions, asking experts, as Stacey just suggested, is really smart. Get 2 or 3 quotes on it. It's never the be all and end all. It's never that level of urgency. Do your research and get a second or third opinion and ask experts, and not from other companies, selling coins, but licensed numismatists who actually know the field and understand it. Ask about fees. What are they getting in fees? How much are they charging? Will they delineate that? Fees should not be excessive. And they may not disclose that, and they may deceive you about that. Consider that. See if there's a return policy. What does that look like? Can you return it if you don't like it? What's the time period of that? You don't want to forfeit your opportunity if you find out there's a problem with it to go back. And read the documentation that they're providing to you, if they are. Finally, most importantly, try to find somebody that you trust and feel comfortable with, who either has a licensure or that other people have recommended to you that you trust. And I don't mean people say, oh, I bought a bunch of coins from there, but people that you respect, that are in the business, that understand it, and go from there. I'm not saying not to do it. Of course, I think it's a very good investment for lots of people. Everyone knows gold right now, for example, is high, but do your research, good research, smart research. It's your money. It's your life savings. Why wouldn't you treat it like you would with a doctor's appointment, getting second opinions, doing what you need to do to protect yourself.
One more thing you can do, and this is really getting down in their business, call their business, call the other lines that are associated with business, and then call where their business is at, whatever building they're in. When I do a purchase like that, and there's a lot of gray area for somebody to fudge the price, and it's a little unsure, and you feel a hint of high pressure sales, do everything you can to try to talk yourself out of it. And then getting the 3 bids, that's going to wipe them all out. It keeps everybody honest. That's the thing. And usually it's some kind of scam coin. Somebody tried to sell me a silver Eagle Ray the other day that was $75. It was just, and then when I got through talking to them, they hung up on it. They started to talk, when they realized they couldn't high pressure sell me, they started talking down and ugly to me. And finally they just hung up, so.
I've got one more thing. Go ahead.
It's great advice. Let me just emphasize just what you said. That is great advice. Please get opinions. Check it out. Any high pressure sale should be a red flag. Any sort of freebies as part of the sale should be a red flag. Do your research.
Well, one more thing that I'd like for you to address, if you don't mind, and you can kind of give us your thoughts. If someone finds themselves in this position, because I know several that have, including a poor gentleman who's 75. I think you're working with a particular lady right now. That's how I was referred to you. He's 75, went in with 400,000. It's worth about 180 right now, unfortunately, because they high pressured him into these specialty coins.
Right.
So if it does happen, what is some advice? Thank God it's never happened with my company. But if it does happen, what is some advice you can give these people? Because you're very passionate about it. You're helping people. What's some advice?
Well, number one, read the fine print. I mean, the devil is again in the details. Read the fine print. 2, you can hire me. I typically work, and this is not a sales for me, but hire a lawyer, but this is what I do. I do this on contingency. I don't charge people to evaluate their coins or to evaluate the deal they're in. Rather, what I do is I'll take it and I'll demand that the company pay me, because under the law that they would be entitled to pay me anyway. So that would be the number one thing, is hire somebody on contingency who can make a demand and try to make you whole. My goal is always to put people back where they started. I can't get you that investment that you wanted down the road, that you thought this was going to be Shangri-La. I can't promise that. I can get you your money back, generally speaking. I try to do it so you're completely whole and they pay my fee, and I do it so there's no out-of-pocket money. I'm not the only gig in town. There are lots of other very qualified lawyers that can do that, but that's really what you're going to need to do. The problem that you get in is if it's 10,000 or 12,000, a lot of lawyers will say it's not worth their time. That's not a threshold that I do, because I feel so passionate about it, and I just hate to see anybody being ripped off. And it just disturbs me so much. I really don't care. I've helped people, whether it's $1,000 or well over $2 million. It just doesn't matter to me, because a scam is a scam, and I don't like it. And I'm passionate about it.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Check out Mr. Bruce's info that'll be in the description. If you're interested in you've been ripped off, I would desire nothing more for you to be whole, for you to be able to get your money back and actually invest in physical precious metals delivered to your door that you don't pay too much for. And if you're somebody that's the only way you can, because there's a lot of people that use these, IRA, because they have to. That's the only way they can invest into it.
Yeah.
With their funds are kind of locked up. So I know there's some good ones out there, but you're going to really have to do your due diligence, because I don't get behind any of them.
Right.
Hey guys, let me tell y'all too, if you want just a summary of some of the red flags, I've got a website. It's coinfraudlawsuit.com. You can look on there. At the bottom, I provide a list of some of the companies that I'm kind of looking into and investigating right now. And that might be another starting point if you're looking to get into this to avoid it. And also, if you want to learn more about me and my background in this area, I've got just my bio on brucesteckler.com. It's just sort of my curriculum vitae of some of the cases that I've handled against coin companies and a lot of other big companies. But that's also a good starting point, is looking at that website, because you'll at least see the ones that I think that may be of concern.
I love it.
Oh, that's great.
Before we go real quick, we always like to do free giveaways for silver. It's legit. There's no strings attached. So thanks to Mr. Corey, he gave these away. I actually have,
Mr. Corey.
yeah, I know this is actually fractional silver, which we don't get a lot of. Oops, can you see it there? So we're going to give that away.
Fractional silver.
And I even have the certificates showing they're authentic. So if you guys in the comments, if you've made it to the end of the video, do hashtag
That's cool.
fractional silver, and we will pick a winner and we will mail it to you on our dime. So we do that, Mr. Bruce.
No strings attached.
Y'all are great. I really appreciate what you're doing. You know, as a lawyer who deals with these things all the time, I love the fact that you're upfront about it and you're giving people information, and information is power. And hopefully it's a way to avoid having to call me, to be honest, because it's not fun and it's really scary.
It is.
So really appreciate what y'all are doing. I think it's an incredible service, and
It's sad that this happens. People want to invest in God's money that was only put in the ground. You know, there's only so much of it in the ground. It's a commodity that should be easy. And there's so many scams around every corner. It's unbelievable. And I'm absolutely sick of it. So guys, be careful. Thank you so much for coming on, Mr. Bruce.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you allowing me to talk to your listeners or viewers.
Absolutely.
Take care.
Well, guys, have an awesome day. We'll see you in the next one.